Hey, what's up, guys? Tugi here, back again with another episode of my Seattle Mariners Franchise Mode series right here on MLB The Show 19. You know the deal by now. Today, the new look Mariners continue onward with the 2025 season, currently sitting at 500, 30 wins, 30 losses as of draft day. And while there are some promising things to look at, of course, you look at the certain numbers of certain guys, Jose Barrios on his way potentially to a Cy Young, you can also then look at just the All-Star voting and see, oh yeah, Jack Flaherty, who we gave up, is having a phenomenal season. He is not the only one of our former players right now who's on pace to have a very good season. So right now, we're really trying to get a feel for whether or not it's a positive or negative kind of outlook for this season, and it really does depend on how the next few months go for us. So we are going to get right down to business. I do want to finish the sim of this season in this episode. Chad Leahy's still going to be out for a month or two, but we start off this episode with winning 3 out of 4 games, thankfully not getting swept by the Blue Jays and taking the series against the Angels. That sets us up for 4 games against Baltimore, who are also hanging around 500. As Miguel Amaya is back and we sweep Baltimore, which isn't a major accomplishment, but still very much needed. So we'll try to get Amaya back in the lineup. He actually is back in by default. Naylor was okay. I mean, a 245 average, 304 on base. Obviously, you know, at catcher right now, it's still very undecided what's going to be happening as far as who the starter is. Is it Amaya? Is it Naylor? Is it going to be Anthony Ziegler? And the answer to that is probably no, because he's struggling at the AAA level with only a 206 average. So we still have questions that need to be answered, of course, as we move on here. We have 3 games against Chicago. Let's see how this goes for us as Mateo bruises his foot, but he's good to go. We win that series 2 out of 3. 4 games against a brutal White Sox team, which means we're going to struggle here more than likely as the Texas League first half ends, and we do indeed lose 3 out of 4. And 3 games against Minnesota, we lose that series as well. So pretty brutal start. I mean, very inconsistent. Shane Baz is 1-9 on the year. A loss here could be one of his final few starts. It is a loss. We do end up beating Cleveland, though. Baz did not get charged with the loss, thankfully. 3 games against the Yankees. We win that series 2 out of 3. 4 games against Houston as we move into July, just before the All-Star break. We split those 4. And 3 games against the Royals. And we split the first 2 and ultimately lose that series. Now, the Home Run Derby, we do have a participant. It is Pablo Mateo, which is a pretty good sign. And at the very least, no former Mariners there, which is nice. We'll see who ended up making the All-Star game for us. Hopefully there was somebody else aside from Mateo. But as of the All-Star break, we are at 48 and 43, 11.5 games back of the Angels, 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. As far as the team is concerned, of course, we'll take a look again in a moment. But All-Star voting, Corbin Martin, Sean Manaea, Jose Barrios, Julio Urias, and Mackenzie Gore. So we have 2 starters make the All-Star game. A very promising note. In terms of the bullpen, Edwin Diaz also made it. So 3 representatives thus far for us at the All-Star game this time out. Of course, I did not expect us to end up with anybody decent. A C potential catcher, Sam McMillan, makes the All-Star game for the Yankees. And Xavier Ramirez, good lord. Talk about someone we should maybe look to target via trade. He's down to a B potential, but I mean, damn. It's not bad. 332 on base, under 700 OPS, though. First base, Pablo Mateo, of course, made it as well. We'll look more at his numbers in a moment. You have Altuve and Diosbel Arias, Brian Anderson and Alex Bregman, Mondesi, Gleyber Torres, and O'Neal Cruz. In left, Juan Soto, who maybe we should have targeted. Eloy Jimenez, who I don't think made a single All-Star game for us. Oh, God. I still don't know if I'd want to pay him the amount of money they're having to pay him. But, I mean, I wanted to. I wanted to give him a 15-year backloaded deal and pay him all the money. But he wasn't doing that when he was here, was he? That's frustrating. Mike Trout, of course, still leading the way. And right, Cody Bellinger ended up making it, which is nice. Not too bad. In the NL, just a look, Chris Paddock makes the All-Star game. We'll see if anybody else did. I'm mainly looking for former Mariners at this point. Jorge Alfaro. Oh my God. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Maybe I should have kept him. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have. I don't know. He was the easy guy to let go of when we said, okay, let's take a step back, right? Because he was 31. You know, he wanted a big money contract. God, that's rough. Nobody at first in particular. Junior made the All-Star game at third. I still love his created random face. Of course, the real player face is in now. Malik Smith makes the All-Star game. Jesus Christ. Pretty much the worst case scenario on all fronts. A lot of our players have done well, but a lot of former Mariners are finding success away from Seattle, which was, you know, as pointed out in the comments of the last episode, is somewhat realistic. Barrios is fine. I don't even think we need to check the whip for him. He's fine. Yeah, or not the whip, but the FIP. Yeah, he's fine. Mackenzie Gore's been great. Mackenzie B, also, as he's known. Zach Eflin, though, not great. And when you talk about whether or not it would have been better to keep someone like Paddock, the answer is probably yes. It just hasn't been great. He and Shane Baz are done here. I mean, they're done here. You look at what Fukumori's doing as a rookie. You look at what Nakayama's doing out of the pen. Baz and Eflin are gone. Unfortunately, I mean, I could call up Damon North, and I probably will. That's the thing. I don't think I want to go out and be like, oh, okay, well, let's get Jack Flaherty back. I mean, I would like to. Don't get me wrong. But I think we continue to build from within. I mean, we ship these two out for whatever the hell we can get, and we take it from there, pretty much. I mean, hell, we could get Grayson Rodriguez from Baltimore. Not that I really want to do that. I would prefer a younger prospect who's not really going to be pushing for a starting spot. Leslie Leary, and Brad Humber. Mainly Leary that I'm interested in. Just because getting another catcher into the mix wouldn't be the worst thing in the world with the question marks that we still have there. Although Castellano is also there for Chicago, and Buscher's not a terrible outfielder. That's not a terrible deal from Chicago. The problem is, how good is Castellano at this point? Because he'd be pushing for that starting spot. Jesus. I know he only has 17 at-bats, but man, if he could keep that up. The arm's a little bit weak. The batting, in theory, shouldn't be great. That's a really interesting trade. I think we're going to hold off for now, though, which might not be the right idea. But, tough to say what we should do here, aside from the fact that we know Baz and Eflin are gone. So I think it'll be Barrios, Fukumori, and then we'll see, like I said, between Nakayama, Damon North, and Chad Leahy. We can do well enough, I would say. Although Johan Nieto is amazing already. Castellano there. I just don't know if I want another catcher. Leary's 23, A, and a 75. I wonder if Leary can go up 3 points in 2 years. Probably possible, right? Not that I want Mark Bergeron, although he is a decent enough tack on, I suppose. I would rather trade him out for a random pitcher just to help fill the void that's about to be left. Garcia would have been perfect. Is there anybody here? Even Plesac? Oh, God. Please? Kaminsky? Morgan. Oh, my God. Okay, so they're not up for this at all, apparently. Cool. You know what? Screw it. We'll take the shortstop, then. Let's do it. Am I really going to trade Eflin and Baz to Cleveland? And let that come back to haunt me? Does that seem like a good idea? Not really, but it seems like a good idea to let both of them go because it just hasn't worked. It just hasn't worked. And if we get Leary out of the deal, Then we'll have Amaya, Naylor, Ziegler, Vogt. I mean, Hansen as well. That's the thing, though. Ziegler has really struggled at the AAA level. You almost wonder if it's worth tacking him onto a deal and just saying, yeah, it's not going to happen. That's the issue right now, is I don't necessarily want to trade for anybody. We need to check out some other spots really quickly, but we know Eflin and Baz are pretty much gone. Williamson, Andy Williamson, of course, the 19-year-old, he's up to an 86. He's done well. Von Muller, I mean, a couple of 4 ERAs, but I can forgive that. It's a young bullpen. We'll leave it be. And to look at the lineup, Voorhees at a 280, but of course he's going nowhere. You'd like him to be a little bit better, but you can forgive it. Jared Kelenic, the 240 average, 301 on base, 705 OPS. I still have my doubts about Jared Kelenic being the guy. Luis Garcia has apparently been running as the DH for whatever reason. Hasn't been great for him. We'll be taking him out. That should be Adrian Serrano's spot. Julio Rodriguez in right. It hasn't been great, but he's still young enough that he can get better. I guess that's the argument on the other side, too. And then we have Amaya. So it's still a whole lot of waiting to see what we have going on. So you know what we'll do? I think at the very least with Baz and Eflin, something has to be done now. It has to be. Like I said, I'm confident using Fukumori and, Nakayama, Leahy, and North. I'm confident with that. I think they can carry us. I'd like to think. How much worse can they possibly be than Eflin and Baz? It's just what the hell do we trade for? And I guess I would prefer to make a deal from the NL, just that we don't have to worry about, like, oh, this player's going to come back to kick our ass in the postseason. The issue is, aside from adding a project outfielder, there really isn't much else that I would want back. James Field is unreal. Miguel Dominguez. We could just, outright add this James Field guy. Not like he would help the current situation. But Dominguez was there. I wish he was an A potential guy. That'd be amazing. Dominguez, though, in San Francisco might be the guy. I think he and 2 starters to replace who we're giving up, just as depth options, and we're good to go. Because I'm not really seeing anybody else here that's any better. And, of course, I would prefer to only make the deal with an NL team just to try and reduce the chances of us getting bit in the ass later on when that player ultimately crushes us in the playoffs. So you know what? Let's go back to the Giants here. We're going to target Dominguez. And let's see if there are also 2 starters that we can tack on, although the answer appears to be no. We already traded them Cairo. We might miss out on a little bit of value here, but so be it. We're going to miss out on a lot of value. Gene Esslinger would prefer to be in the bullpen. Brandon Brennan, of course, is there. That's a tough call, actually, because they don't really have anybody that I'd want. We can just sit here and miss out on a ton of value. Suppose that's not the worst thing in the world. If I say Dominguez and just prospects, if I say Dominguez in general, no trades, huh? Nothing. Give me Aaron Judge. No, please don't. I'm all right with losing value here. I don't think it's a big deal if we do. So let's go ahead and add Corey and Johnson. We'll just add them for the year. The big thing here for us is to get Dominguez. I don't know. God, did we give up on Baz this early? He's been so bad, though. He has been brutal. We can't send him down. He's had plenty of time to try and prove that he's ready. He's just not. We can get more back for sure. But I prefer to make a deal with an NL team. And the bottom line is there don't appear to be that many outfielders where this really makes sense. So we're going to take Dominguez from the Giants. We're going to do that. Again, I'm fine with losing out on value. God forbid I lose out on value on one trade, right? After all be done. So Dominguez is listed as being in double. We mainly have to fix the pitching. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Gallegos is a decent option. At least in theory. But again, North was the one who was actually killing it down in AAA. And then I wish Leahy wasn't hurt. Mercado's been alright in AAA as well. I think we give him a chance. It's the worst that can happen. So Gallegos is there. That's one. Did I bump up Mercado? I just added them to the 40-man. That was alright. There we go. So Gallegos is 1, 2. We'll have 3, 4, 5 with Johnson. And 6 with Barry. Double A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with Reyes. And then we got a couple of guys down in the minors. And then Double A, Prado will be sent down. So I think that'll be the one change for now. We'll save lineup changes for the deadline. See what happens from there. So let's get Nakayama and let's get Damon North into the rotation. Mercado will start as the long reliever, and then we'll let the AI figure out the rotation from there. Although, the one thing to do is to go back over here. I know Garcia's played well lately. I can't believe it has him hitting there. That has to be due to someone's injury. Has to be. But, yeah, we want Adrian Serrano in. And I get not having Jimmy Voorhees in kind of sucks, but hey, do what you got to do. So let's get Serrano back in there. Perfect. That'll be the way to do it. So let's sim the next 3 weeks and see where we stand, see if any other changes have to be made. Again, I don't really plan on going out and buying. I don't really think like, oh yeah, hey, let's add this reliever. Like, just no. We're going to see what this team can do, what this team's capable of, and if they're not ready, we wait for development from within. As we split that 4-game series against Houston, we play San Francisco, who have done very well this year, and we actually beat them in both games. Another 3 games against Texas. We lose that series. We have 3 games against a close to 500 Oakland side as Kevin McCarthy and Pedro Garlobo dealt for Eloy Estrada. Shane Bieber dealt for Nick Williams and Franklin Barreto. Deals are being done. We take that series against Oakland. We have 4 games against a pretty damn good LA team. Pablo Mateo, another slight injury, but we take 3 out of 4. And that brings us to the 2-game series against Oakland just before trade deadline. And we split those games. So we're at 59 and 50. Currently 6.5 games back of the Angels. We have a game at hand on Houston, which is pretty nice. Actually, 2 games at hand on Houston. And we are currently in a wild card spot, so it's not looking all that bad. Rotation-wise, Barrios, the ERA is going up a little bit, but he, Gore, and Fukumori have been great. Nakayama still not too bad. North has struggled so far through his first 18 innings, as has Mercado. But I think worse comes to worse, we give someone like Gallegos a chance. We could even give Flores a chance. I'm not really too concerned. Bullpen-wise, Miguel Guillen, the 231 average, solid FIP rating, he's safe. Andy Williamson, the ERA and the WHIP are fine, he's safe. Vaughn Muller, the 23-year-old, I mean, at least the ERA is not a 7.94. He struggled a bit, but we'll still give him time. Anthony Gonzalez, ERA is fine. FIP is... it's a little bit rough. Minus .2 WAR as well. We could send him down for the rest of the season if we wanted to. Pedro Rodriguez, the ERA is still up there. The FIP is still up there. He's not really showing any signs of getting better. I mean, he's literally getting better, but the numbers aren't. So I do wonder if sending down Gonzalez and Rodriguez is the right way to go. It could be. Obviously, we still have time to make changes if need be. Rudolph at 3.38 ERA. Escobar looking even better. Watson's been terrible. Willingham hasn't been great either. I think maybe we go Escobar and Rudolph. And we make that change. See if it's one worth making. So I hate to say it, but Pedro, you're going down to triple. Anthony Gonzalez, you're going down to triple. And we're going to call up Omar Escobar and Jack Rudolph just to see what they can do. Why not? I mean, at least in this instance, we have the ability. You know, we couldn't send down Shane Baz. Otherwise, I would have given him a little bit more time to try and find some footing. But it just wasn't happening. So Miguel Guillen, I think, is going to be our new setup guy. And then lineup-wise, let's take a look here. So Jimmy Voorhees has been fine. 277 average, a 336 on base, but he hasn't been what we thought he might have been able to be based off of last season. But he's fine. He's also 25. Jared Colonic, 25 as well. I just don't think he's the guy. I can't help it. The 309 on base, the 737 OPS. I just can't help but think that he isn't the guy. Cody Bellinger. I mean, at least hanging in there around a 900 OPS, so I like what I'm seeing. Pablo Mateo, 32 home runs, a 967 OPS. I like what I'm seeing. Adrian Serrano, the 778 OPS, a 343 on base. Still just 21. Julio, 306 on base and a 721 OPS. So again, a little bit concerned about him at this point. Ray Mitra, 731. It's okay. It's not great. Gabe Little. It's kind of been bad from Gabe Little. And Miguel Amaya, the 366 on base compared to Naylor, who was rocking the 307. So I think Amaya's safe for the moment. But I don't think it's the worst idea to see what Dominguez can do and to see what Luis Garcia can do playing for Gabe Little. I think we'll give that a shot. No one's spot is guaranteed. Although, yeah, Jimmy Voorhees can play second. So we get Jimmy Voorhees in when we don't play with the DH. And like I said, I'm just not liking what I'm seeing from Colonic. We have other people in the lineup that we can give the opportunity to. And we might as well. Like I said, with some of these guys, obviously, if we were a little bit closer to being like, okay, this has to be the year, then yeah, some of these guys I'm getting rid of now. But it's still a young team. We can still give people time to turn it around, unless I don't have the ability to send you down, in which case you're screwed. But I think from there, we're pretty much good to go. We'll see how these guys do here down the stretch, as we're still battling for a playoff spot. Carson Kelly's been dealt to the Yankees. Christopher Bostic and Aladmisti. I've never been able to pronounce that name. It's fine. 3 games against Cleveland. Chad Leahy is back as well. It's going to be interesting to see how that sorts everything out. I mean, it's not as if North or Mercado have been great, so we might go with a different option. Not sure who that's going to be. I think it's either going to be Enrique Flores or Francis Gallegos. And I think we're going to go with Enrique Flores. Why not? Screw it. Let's see what the guy's got. See if he's ready. He's on a hot streak. So it is going to be Mercado back to AAA. Damon North back to AAA for now. And Enrique Flores, the 23-year-old. Going to be given a chance to shine. He'll probably start off as a long reliever. I mean, I kind of want to see if Chad Leahy can deal a little bit more as a starter, but maybe we start off Leahy as the long reliever. So AAA is 5 and 6. James Berry goes down double. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with Reyes. Although, you know what? Let's go ahead and drop Johnson. Bump Berry up to AAA. There was another guy that had sucked too, right? Yeah, Corey. And we'll bump up Moran. And AA is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It'll be Tanner that gets the bump up. So that'll be how it is handled for the moment. Let's see what Enrique Flores can do. Again, it can't hurt. You see someone like Nakayama rising to the occasion. You see what Fukumori's done, although we had a little bit more hope for him heading into the season. It's worth it. We give all these young guys a chance to carve out a spot in this lineup. We lose that series against Cleveland, bounce back by sweeping the White Sox, though. We have 3 games against Cincinnati, and we sweep them as well, up to 66 wins on the year. 3 games against Tampa, and we end up losing that series, but not a bad run of form on the road. We come back home, play 4 games against Kansas City. That is a split, and 3 games against Houston. That is a win. A decent accomplishment, of course, as we're battling them for a potential division title. 4 games against Minnesota. We split that. 2 games against Houston. We win both. And then 4 games against Oakland to end the month as we head into September. We split those games. So 77 and 61 as of September 1st. We get ready for the home stretch of the season. We are 3.5 games back of the Angels, currently ahead of the Astros on tiebreaker and in possession of the top wildcard spot, 3 games above Kansas City. So you have to like what you're seeing here. I mean, again, you'd probably like us to be winning the division title right about now, but it's not been too bad. And Enrique Flores is a 3.41 ERA. He's doing okay. Chad Leahy, on the other hand, hasn't been great this year at all. And fun fact, we can send him down, and I probably will. I mean, Damon North has still done well in AAA. Mercado's done well in AAA. But I think we give Gallegos the chance as the long reliever over Chad Leahy at this point. We'll make that quick switch. Let's get Gallegos up to the majors. Leahy down to triple. And we'll start off Gallegos as the long reliever, which is perfect. As far as the bullpen is concerned, Omar Escobar has been phenomenal through 20 innings. Andy Williamson, at this point, the ERA is high, the whip is fine, the FIP is fine, so he gets to stay. Jack Rudolph, on the other hand, while Escobar has been great, I mean, Rudolph only has 5 innings pitched, so it's tough to be that difficult. You know, it's tough to be that judgmental towards him, but it hasn't been a great start for him, we'll say. Unfortunately, I mean, in terms of other options, I don't really want to call Gonzalez back up. Pedro is too damn good for AAA. I think we send Rudolph back down and we call up Pedro. I think that's what we do. So it was worth giving Rudolph a chance, and maybe letting Pedro tear apart AAA ball players was the wake-up call that he needed to come back and dominate. Time will tell. So a couple more changes to the lineup, mainly to the bullpen at least. We'll get to the lineup in a moment, but I'm intrigued to see what these guys can do. Again, fairly all right with what we're seeing there. And then lineup-wise, let's take a look. So Voorhees, I mean, a 332 on base, 787 OPS. Dominguez, 343 on base, a 712 OPS. I mean, Colonic was rocking a 304 on base, so I can't complain, even though Dominguez is on a bit of a cold stretch. Cody Bellinger doing Cody Bellinger things. Good stuff. Pablo Mateo, 32 home runs. His OPS has dropped a little bit over the last month, but still not bad. Serrano, I mean, I imagine I'm going to be okay with it, and I am. You'd like it to be a little bit better, but it's okay. Julio, the 323 on base. Again, these younger outfielders are struggling a little bit. Ray Mitra, 322, a 744. Luis Garcia, a 318. And Miguel Amaya still with a 350 on base. So I think we're going to get Gabe Little back into the mix. And we will probably get Kalanick back into the mix as well. And again, see if that's woken up. See if that's woken up something amongst those guys who got themselves benched for a little bit due to their struggles. Here's hoping. And I am tempted with Nick Prado, but he hasn't been that great with what he's done at the plate thus far this year. The thing is, I don't really think we're going to send anybody down. I mean, outfield-wise, is there really anybody ready? I mean, shit, Roman Kessler's playing right. David Koo is the only guy. Of course, we acquired him, I think, from the Giants earlier, if I'm not mistaken, but I can't really say I'm all that impressed. So there really isn't a normal, regular outfielder that I would like to play. Siegler, I mean, is hitting .231 in AAA, so it's not like I'm going to replace, Amaya. And Naylor had at least done okay, at least in comparison. I'm not going to send down Prado. I mean, our roster, it is what it is. Again, we knew the season was going to be about development, right? And then who knows, maybe something happens. You have Cody Bellinger, who was a massive addition to the team. And as it stands, we're on a playoff pace, but we'll see if we can get there. We have 3 games against Boston. AAA ball club misses the playoffs, as does the AA team, which is shocking, really. And we end up losing that series to Boston. 4 games against the Blue Jays. Enrique Flores with a minor injury. We end up splitting that series. 3 games against the Yankees. We win 2 out of 3. 3 games against the Angels. This is going to go a long way in deciding the playoffs. And we get swept. So say goodbye to a potential division title. As it stands right now, we are half a game up on Oakland. They have that game at hand. So we are in a little bit of trouble here. Right now, it's that little wild card berth is in doubt, at least ever so slightly. 2 games against Texas. 3 more games against Los Angeles. We win 2 out of 3. Where do we stand now? The Angels have clinched a postseason appearance. And we are, well, currently we'd be going to a 1-game playoff with the Royals to decide who goes to the wild card game. So the 3 games here against Baltimore and Boston, very, very important. We sweep Baltimore. Now, I know you can check the standings here, but obviously it's a little bit more visual. We do beat Boston. I swear to God, I thought I said we lost. So we're up to 89 wins. The Astros are in the postseason. We are not yet. We are 1 win away from clinching a postseason spot if the Royals lose. We win. Are we in officially? Yes, we are. So there you go. We will be the 2nd wild card team. We will have to play Houston at this rate. The winner will go on to play the Rays, is what it's looking like. So we send that final game against Boston. It is a win. We end up sweeping the Red Sox, and it will be a 1-game playoff, or the wild card game, of course. Not the 1-game playoff. We avoided that against Kansas City. It is the wild card game. If we win, we go on to play Tampa. Detroit plays the Angels. In the NL, you have Miami and Washington in the wild card. Winner plays the Mets. San Francisco plays Chicago in the other NLDS matchup. So we're back in the playoffs, which is nice. I mean, that is a return. I mean, last year we finished with 84 wins. This is now the 3rd time in 4 years that we've made the postseason, which is somewhat of a success. Jose Barrios will obviously be on the mound for this playoff game, a 3.04 ERA. I mean, he was great. There's no denying it was the right choice to have him be the man leading the charge. Mackenzie Gore was strong this season. Tadahito Fukumori might have won the Rookie of the Year. Like, genuinely, he might have. A 2.65 ERA. The FIP was a little bit rough, but not too bad whatsoever from the future Japanese superstar. Alex Nakayama, a pleasant surprise. Not great, but not horrible. Went from being the long reliever to being in the rotation, and somehow Jack Rudolph ended up being a starter. What? Hopefully I can fix the roster a little bit. I mean, I know there were some, September call-ups, and I was changing things around at the beginning of September. Can I send down Rudolph, please? Can I please bump up Pedro? Okay, well, we might be stuck with Rudolph for the playoffs, but that's fine. I blame Pedro for getting sent down. Obviously, Chad Leahy was available. You know what? That's fine if we can't make changes. Although we know that Rudolph was kind of struggling, I wouldn't expect Leahy to get a start, but he had a 4.45 ERA. And again, Rudolph kind of struggled. Flores did pretty well from what we can tell without looking at the FIP rating and everything. Escobar did well. Williamson, we know the FIP rating was okay. Muller, Guillen, and Diaz, they all did well. The bullpen, while we did have to make some moves, and it certainly did not stay the same throughout the year, I can't say I'm overly upset with how we did. It's looking pretty good. I mean, again, someone like Jack Rudolph probably won't be used that much, but I'm fairly confident in that team heading into the playoffs, I would hope. Of course, most of them won't make an appearance if we lose in the first game. And then lineup-wise, you have Jimmy Voorhees, who took a pretty bad step backwards this year. I mean, the on-base percentage dropped, the OPS dropped significantly, so I'm a little bit concerned about him, but he is still just 25. Jared Colonic, again, better numbers than he's basically ever posted. It's his first pretty much full season, but I'm having my doubts over his future here. Cody Ballinger, only 29 home runs, but 100 RBIs on the year. Pretty much did what we needed him to do. Pablo Mateo, 34 home runs, 90 RBIs, had over a 900 OPS. Pretty solid. I'm happy with that. Adrian Serrano, meh, but he's 21. Julio Rodriguez was solid. Pretty solid, actually. It's better than what I thought it was going to be. Ray Mitra, 19 home runs on the year. Again, not too bad. Not amazing, but not too bad. Gabe Little ended up turning it around by the end of it. Had 21 home runs. I mean, obviously, we might be lacking a little bit in the power department right now. And Miguel Amaya wasn't terrible. Shook off a rough start to the season, an injury. Ended up doing pretty well. Of course, in the in the lineup as well, as far as an option we could have. Luis Garcia was in the lineup for a decent amount of time. Solid numbers from him. Bo Naylor, I mean, stayed as the backup catcher just due to Siegler's incompetence at the AAA level. Nick Prado didn't get to do much, and Dominguez was given a chance. Honestly, not that bad. You could make an argument for Garcia and Dominguez to play that wild card game, and if we go beyond that, you could make the argument for him to play even more. As we'll take a look here. So Brian Anderson becomes the second Royal in as many years to win AL MVP. Bryce Harper wins it in the NL. You would have seen it. Jose Barrios, another Cy Young. 3 straight. As Sixto Sanchez wins it purely off of strikeouts, clearly, in the NL. Batting title to Brian Anderson and Nick Castellanos and his amazing eyebrows. Reliever of the year, Michael Givens and Jimmy Cordero. Rookie of the year, D'Angelo Blum wins it in Texas. Wilson Gordon for the Chicago Cubs. Hank Aaron Award to Anderson and Judge. And did we take home any other awards? I do wonder. So far, the answer appears to be no. Jimenez wins a Gold Glove. He can kick rocks. We will take a look at how our former players did. No other hardware from the looks of it. But Jose Barrios, another Cy Young. And of course, having taken a look at what we did this year, I'm still feeling good. I mean, we'll see what we have in terms of, catchers for the future. I mean, Al Vogt, it's his spot to lose moving forward. First base, I mean, again, we still have Self, David Parrott's there as well. Warner Sylvester, I wanted to say Hunter Warner for some reason. Warner Sylvester will be good to go next year. We got Robert Ramirez in the pipeline. Of course, there's a logjam of talent at shortstop as it is. And the addition of Dominguez, who's up to a 67 already, looking like a decent one. And then, of course, there's all the talent in the world for starting pitching moving forward. It's just a matter of who carves out these spots, who makes, the necessary strides forward to get the job done and to really say, hey, this is my spot, get the hell out of here. So let's see, as we'll scroll through, and again, this will give you a look at the top players on each team at this point. But of course, I want to go through and track down former Mariners, and we start off with Jack Flaherty, who went 12-13 on the year, a 2.95 ERA, and a 2.7 FIP. Had we kept him, we'd probably be looking a little bit better, but you could argue maybe there'd be negative morale if he wasn't the ace. It's tough to say. I mean, you look at the contract that he got. I don't feel bad about letting go of him when we did, because he was good, not great. And we needed him to be great. I don't know. That's a tough one to say whether or not I regret that or not. I'm not sure if I do. Eloy Jimenez finally started to play like Eloy Jimenez should have been able to do. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, he put up 107 RBI. Sure. And then last year, when we got rid of him, he was struggling again. And now this year, he's looking good. So I still don't know if I regret it. He just had what could have been his breakout year at 28 years old after being handed $20 million a season. So I don't know if I regret that just yet. He did have a good season after leaving the team, but we'll see if he keeps it up, because I have my doubts that he'll be able to do that. But if he does, then yeah, it's going to be frustrating that someone we let go of decided to turn it around. Speaking of which, Brennan, who has had 2 stints on this team, and obviously when we got rid of him last year, it was for good reason. Essentially, he was a part of the mix, and this year, I mean, no denying, great season. So that kind of sucks. And then Jorge Alfaro, I mean, you could argue he started to turn into the catcher that we needed him to be. He had that moment, and the playoffs, what he accomplished. But when we let go of him, it was, is he really what we want him to be? Is he worth the big contract? Should we go with the youth? Probably would have been worth it to keep him. I think we can say that at this point. I do regret letting go of Alfaro. It's certainly not something that's worked out too well for us. Austin Riley, on the other hand, continued to be average. So I don't regret that at all. His contract's coming up. I don't regret trading Austin Riley at all. Jonathan India, I don't regret trading him at all. He's not really any better than the guys we have in the mix right now. So, and plus we're not having to pay him $5.2 million. So I don't regret getting rid of those 2 guys whatsoever. And then Sierra was 33, so I barely consider him an option. As far as getting rid of Yusei Kikuchi, yeah, who knows what this series would have been had we kept him. He's been great. He has been great. The question was, were we going to be good enough to win by the time he was this age? And I didn't think we would be, and then obviously we took a massive step forward. Who knows how the series would have gone had we kept him. Chris Paddock, a 2.98 ERA. Let's see what the whip was, or the FIP was. Pretty damn good. He got paid handsomely for it, though. I don't know if I regret that or not. He and Lucchesi both had good seasons. Do I regret it? Tough to say. I mean, letting those 2 go did result in the development of certain players, but you could argue, well, had we had these 2 and not Baz and Eflin, things might have been even better. And you might not be wrong. But overall, I mean, again, it was about, are we going to win right now? We knew we'd be getting rid of probably Jimenez and Riley and India. So it's like, okay, why not get rid of the starters as well? Instead of having a great starting pitching and bats that are struggling, why not just set the team back a couple of steps as a whole instead of only part of it? It's, whether or not it was the right choice, man. Who is to say? We'll see whether or not, as far as, the teams that they're on, whether or not they start winning, and then we're just sitting here like, oh yeah, well, we made the wild card game. Malik Smith picked a hell of a time to have a career year. That's frustrating. I'll admit, that is slightly frustrating. Pete Alonso, on the other hand, don't regret getting rid of him at all. Not one bit. He has a big contract coming up too, and I'm not going to be the one to pay for it, which admittedly I'm pretty happy about. And I think that's it. If I'm not mistaken, as far as like the big name players that we got rid of. It is. So with that, we are done here for today. The next episode will either be an all playoff episode with our wild card game and our ALDS matchup against Tampa, or it'll very quickly go down towards being a postseason episode, which, again, as we looked at that roster, we have a lot of decisions to make in the near future, but I don't really want to have to make them all that soon. I'd rather postpone that decision for as long as I can. We'll see if Jose Barrios can get us past Houston. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.